So, I have this for you today. We're gonna read this, because, this was a good read, and I want to share it with you. This is Dunkel Kaiser's review of Dragon Age: The Veilguard. So he says, I finished Dragon Age Veilguard yesterday. He sent this to me today, by the way, so that would be on the 30th of December 2024. It took about 90 hours on normal difficulty. I 100%ed the game and did every possible quest. Here are my thoughts. When I started the game, I gave it an objective, quote-unquote, 7 out of 10. I'll modify that a bit. Let me get the woke stuff out of the way because I'm tired of the woke bad folks. Overt wokeness is kept to one companion, Tash, the one you see in all the clips mocking the game. Her whole character arc is basically about a moody teenage girl coming out as non-binary and fighting with her mom. Yes, it's preachy and badly executed. You can ignore all her personal quests, but I didn't, since you might need it for the ending you want. And I was going for 100% completion. I didn't encounter much in-your-face wokeness aside from her. And from you being able to make your character into whatever woke monstrosity you want, of course. Kind of tired of people bashing their resemblance wokeness to... There you go. So anyway, I initially found the gameplay itself pretty good. And that hasn't changed much. It's not a Souls game and doesn't want to be one either. The biggest negative is that about halfway through the game, it pretty much runs out of enemy variety. There is a new mini-boss or something here and there and stuff, but it does get repetitive by the end. There are a few minor annoyances, such as the game being inconsistent when your character gets knocked down or not, but overall, I liked it. Graphics and music are strong, especially the environments and locations look very nice. Yes, the character design does not fit the game, it's too cartoony. They should have gone for a much more realistic style, but everything around the characters looks great and the music works well with what's happening on screen. So like all the EA games, there you go. Here I want to mention that the game runs flawlessly since day one. Some say it's cope when people bring this up, but in this age of unfinished Unreal Engine 5 slop, it's still commendable in my opinion. I encountered 1 to 2 minor bugs in 90 hours and had rock-solid performance. That deserves respect. I don't care what anyone says. For added context, Dunkel has, I believe, a 3090 and runs on a most recent generation of CPUs. I don't remember if he uses Intel or AMD, so we'll probably have to ask him for that. Let's see. So yeah, that deserves respect. I don't care what anyone says. So the environments are pretty to look at, but they don't help with the immersion when running around in them. Let me go on a bit of a tangent for this. The game went through many major direction changes during its development and had huge turnover. It was originally planned as a proper Dragon Age 4 game, a sequel in the same vein as the previous games. Then, due to EA pressure, they changed plans and turned it into something of a mission-based live service game. Anthem 2, if you will, or I guess Anthem Fantasy. Jesus, I can't speak. However, Anthem's release was so abysmal that they reverted back to the original plan and tried to cobble together an RPG from the material of a live service game that was more than halfway done. This corroborates this corroborates so many people saying that this played like a live service game that was then hashed into an RPG. This is most clearly evident in the level design. Areas are these sort of corridor mazes. Think of it like a Vermintide map, just bigger. No matter if it's a city, forest, or ancient ruins, this is why a city does... Okay, let me reread that. This is most clearly evident in the level design. Areas like these sort... Oh no, okay. Again. This is most clearly evident in the level design. Areas are these sort of corridor mazes. Think of it like a Vermintide map, just bigger. No matter if it's a city, forest, or ancient ruins. This is why a city doesn't feel like a city where people live, or a forest where animals roam, but a video game map for something like Overwatch, just bigger. Tangent over, moving on. Characters and companions range from meh to good. The game managed to get me to care about... Okay. I am starting to go through VA moment. Okay. Characters and companions range from meh to good. The game managed to get me to care about all of them to some degree. Some more than others, of course, looking at Tash. Their personal quest lines are solid but predictable. Absolute highlight is Solus, the central kinda antagonist, half-friend character who toys and schemes with you the entire game. He's just great. Parentheses, Dragon Age 3 set him up to be the main villain in 4, but a lot of things changed, as described before. End of parentheses. The actual villains are also great. I just wish we could see them more often. The actual villains are also great. I just wish we could see more of them. Their screen time is very limited, and you hear everyone constantly talk about them. It doesn't work as a build-up and just gets annoying after a while. How all these characters communicate is a major issue. Dialogue in general is not good. The most obvious problem is that they use so many modern idioms and expressions that it's completely immersion-breaking. On a deeper level, though, it's written like a Marvel movie script. Annoying quipping, nothing is allowed to be taken seriously, all the usual Marvel crap. It lacks the depth and somber tone of the old games. Some places, it is also just plain stupid. Despite this, every 3 to 4 hours, the game just throws some amazing moments at you writing-wise, which makes the other roughly 90% between those moments all the more egregious. There are practically no evil or anti-hero choices in the game either. In the old games, you could be the most magnificent nasty bastard. All of that is gone. Choices range from good to a more standoffish good. That's disappointing to hear. On a grander scale, though, I like the narrative. What I found lacking was the limited amount of big choices. They are certainly there, but fewer than what we're used to. And only a few of them actually matter or influence what happens in the game later. Building on this point, the game is quite detached from the original trilogy. While in theory being a direct sequel, the vast majority of overarching plotlines are dropped, old central conflicts ignored, especially the problematic ones. Dwarves, elves, humans, and all other races pretty much forgot to be racist against one another. Sorry. That's just a funny sentence. While fantasy racism and slavery were super important to the lore and story of the older games. The setting had a very unique take on elves, for example, them being a formerly enslaved and downtrodden people who know little about their ancient empire. Hell, if you created a female elf character in Dragon Age Origins, the first game, you started as a ghetto elf trying to escape a human lord who is trying to rape you. But we just all live happily together now. The game tries to wear the skin of a Dragon Age, and the game tries to wear the skin of Dragon Age, and it has some reality. The game tries to wear the skin of Dragon Age, and it has some really strong moments where the old qualities shine through, but it can't be called Dragon Age anymore. The strongest of those strong moments is the ending. I don't know if they handed the finale off to a completely different team or something, but the last roughly 5 hours are phenomenal. You make more choices than in the whole game up to that point combined. They have weight and are written super well. You make heavy decisions, people die, and you pay for your choices dearly. The overall ending is very satisfying and has big twists with several ending options. But even the best ending in the world isn't worth sitting through 80 to 90 hours of this to get to it. Looking at the game as someone who isn't immediately put off by wokeness and treating it as a standalone title, I was ready to give the game a final score of 6 out of 10, but the ending made me give it a 6.5 out of 10. Looking at it from a Dragon Age fan's point of view, it's a Dragon Age is dead out of 10. Yeah, words are hard, yes. So there you have it. This is Dunkel Kaiser's review of Dragon Age the Veilguard. I know that some like grammatical things are you know, very stream what was it? Stream of consciousness for him, but I really liked this review. I really liked the review. If you want a game that does Evil Hero nicely, play Tyranny. You play as the main general, the Emon Demon. I have it and I want to play it because we haven't finished Pillars of Eternity either. In Dragon Age 1, you only started that if you played an elf rogue. As Dalish elf, you started in the forest, a nomadic tribe member. Yeah, I guess so. So he just wanted to make the point of how big the contrast is. But yeah, words are hard, but there you go. This is Dunkel Kaiser's review of Dragon Age the Veilguard. I asked him that he should absolutely do more reviews. He told me that he's not going to because he only cares about Dragon Age. And like he only really feels like this towards other BioWare games. But I really hope you enjoyed it. So the woke did not completely ruin the game. Apparently, the corporal BS ruined the game. Yeah, from what I understood from him, the woke stuff, which is basically just encapsulated as Tash, which I guess is a decent enough compromise. It was an aggravating factor instead of it being one of the main culprit kind of things. It was not the biggest offense of the game. The biggest offense of the game was the corporate EA BS that they got. And it cost dearly. And then the writing. It was, from what I understood here, the greatest factor that drives down the score is the writing. Too much modern writing, which I don't think you can just by itself call it woke, but it does overlap. People with that ideology are incapable of writing well in these older or more fantasy-oriented things, and don't know how to keep you immersed language-wise. I wouldn't say that's because of wokeness. I would say it's a tangentially related consequence of the toxic positivity culture that wokeness tends to have. So I wouldn't say it's directly wokeness, it's just mediocrity being part of it, and it could be just as likely that it's due to woke culture as it is to corporate culture. So again, I wouldn't say that is that woke would be a factor, but it is something we've seen a lot within that culture, that the writing tends to be mediocre. And a series where the writing plays such a central point, you pay dearly when you fuck it up, and they fucked it up. So there you have it. There you have it. That's the review. And yeah, going back to the point of writing, I was playing Stalker yesterday before going to sleep. You know, I finished doing my shit. It was like 10 p.m. I played a little bit. And I ran into this point where Strider and Faust have a moment where they face each other. The writing in that, I was not expecting Stalker to have, hands down, one of the best scenes, like one of the best written scenes I've ever seen in a video game. Like Faust and Strider just talking to one another philosophically. Like, to give you the summary, they are part of the Monolith, which is a cult that is no longer there. Strider is kind of trying to move them away from that. Faust is trying to bring them back in. And they have this moment of power struggle in front of the whole tribe. Holy shit, it was incredible. Like, I could not give a shit about the Monolith, or about Noon, or about any of that. I saw that scene, I was invested. I was like, holy shit, fuck Faust. Holy shit, Strider. Fuck Strider. Holy shit, fuck Faust. It was great. The thing is, you can have wokeness in heavy topics in that kind of games if you write it well. You could bring up topics of slavery and discrimination so easily in the Dragon Age setting. You can bring up despotism, fascism easily. There are literally magic fascist factions as well. Yeah, and it seems that they decided to go the corporate sensitivity way and just ignored all of it. The end of it, the gameplay is good. I can look over the bad writing, which is what a lot of people said. The problem is that BioWare games, their main point of fame was never the gameplay. The gameplay was always good to decent, from what I understood. And we played Mass Effect 1. We haven't finished Mass Effect 2 or 3, but that's besides the point. And Mass Effect 1 had fun gunplay, it had fun gameplay, but you could tell that it is all centered around the writing. An amazing writing. It hurt me so much because the whole lot of topics considered woke can be really interesting if written well. And this is something that I think when it comes to the whole woke thing, it's not that the topics aren't being addressed, it's that the ideology doesn't allow you to explore them in an honest way. Like, there is no nuance to the subject of slavery. Because, yes, we understand that slavery is wrong. Now we do. But if we explore... like, let's say you do a game about the American Civil War, and you have the people who morally justified... not even American Civil War. Go to Rome and how they addressed slavery. You have a story about that. You can't do that. Because in Rome, and for the overwhelming majority of human history up until relatively recently, the last 200, 300 years, slavery was a moral good because it was better than killing the other people. A lot of people would oppose it because a lot of people would think, well, no, man, we have more than that. We can just not. But it was widely accepted for a long time, and you can't address that anymore within, now we call it woke culture. Because it's an uncomfortable topic. And uncomfortable topics can only be addressed from the pre-approved narrative. It's very annoying when the Christians did it with, you know, the uncomfortable realities of the church. It's very annoying when the woke do it. It's always annoying when the moral busybodies do this. That they don't allow for any of the nuance. This is not a problem unique to wokeness. This is a problem that we have for a very long time. And right now, the current culture is wokeness that has this. The winds are shifting, wokeness is going to go away, and we're going to see the same problem pop up again. I don't know what, I don't know how, but it's going to be. I was going to say, you didn't finish Mass Effect. Yeah, no, we finished Mass Effect 1. We're still... we started Mass Effect 2, and yeah. The Christian keep doing it, the woke keep doing it, the commies keep doing it, fascists keep... Yeah, and the thing is that the Christians don't have the same amount of cultural power in the West that they did 20 years ago. Like, they still have in some places, but they don't have... It's nowhere near as much as what the woke have right now, or had up until this year. They are losing that right now. We're gonna see what replaces them, and it's gonna be some sort of authoritarians that do that. So yeah, there you have it. And with that, I think we're good to cover this topic. This was a really fun read. It was just like 20 minutes, like a 20-minute video that we got over here. But I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed this review. Dunkel doesn't really have any social medias or anything like that. He keeps very much to himself, but he's on the Discord. So if you have any comments, just talk to him on the Discord. Like, don't DM him, but like talk to him on the Discord on like game time or whatever. So yeah, just if you like the review, let him know that you appreciate. I do. I appreciate this was such a good review, and it felt. And that's something I really enjoyed about Dunkel. He can really detach himself from the situation. It's a fairly objective review, and he addressed it. Even though he's extremely biased, he ended up giving it what I consider to be a really, really good review. So in Poland, we have... they have coming to terms with JP2 being complicit in crimes of the church against the children, taboo topic here. Yeah, there you go. People getting aggressive, you acknowledge that most likely knew and covered it up, like physically, violently aggressive. Yep, which is to my point, right? Like, the moral authoritarians will always be around, and depending on the local culture, it will be different. It will be different levels of that. So in Poland it's that, in San Francisco it's the woke. And the problem is that San Francisco is where social media was for the most part, so it kind of bled all over there. But we've heard that 1,000 times, and thankfully the woke are going away, and I just hope that we get a couple of years of peace. And that's it. I just really hope that we just get a couple of years of good stuff, of peace and everything, and that. So there you go. There we go. That's the stuff. Good stuff here. Let's end the video here.